Attention please. This upload is only for educational purpose. No intention to infringe copyrights. Learning English with subtitles. GPITRAL. GPITRAL. Definitely a must-see. Follow us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, my name's Colin Fry, and welcome to The Sixth Sense. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite you now to join me as we try to draw the two worlds just a little bit closer together. Up in the top row here, right at the back here, how many of you are connected? I want to connect some of you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Four. Because I've got this gentleman trying to connect to me here, and he's trying to connect at least 3 or 4 of you together up on this top row here. And he's talking about a child, our side of life, he's calling the Karate Kid.
Well, my daughter, Zoe, just adores Karate Kid. It's on all the time.
Right, OK.
She's 21 years old.
But she's got this thing about the film The Karate
Yeah.
Kid. All right. This man, I know, the feeling he's giving me is that he was taken from this life very suddenly.
Yeah.
There was no pre-warning or anything. He just, like, went.
He was ill, but he did die very quickly.
Did not expect to get at that point?
No. He was in hospital when he died, but he was...
But he had expected to go home. He had expected to go home.
Yeah, we expected him to go home, but he became very ill.
What was he cut, or what did he cut out of newspapers?
He always used to carry the racing page
Which
with him.
he cut the bit
Yeah,
out?
he just used to rip it. Well, not
All
cut
right.
it, rip it out.
OK. Would you please understand someone having a big win on Desert Orchid?
Probably him or my brother. My twin brother,
Like, had a big
husband.
win on Desert
Yeah.
Orchid. He also wants to remind you about putting a silver coin into a champagne cork.
Yeah, we did in December for my daughter's 21st.
Wanting to actually make it known that he was aware of it.
Yeah, he was there.
All
I
right.
knew he was there.
OK, and he said, I've got to mention about the silver coin going into the champagne cork. And it's talking about his boy, his son. I need to come over to you, my love. He's talking about his son, his boy. Life isn't meant to be about just work.
That's so true.
All right, so he'll be saying, there's plenty of rich men in the graveyard. Might not listen to you, but he might listen to his dad. So you just pass that message on to him. All right. He's laughing away just as he finishes as well. He said, and he quite agrees with you, why should you always have to sit in the saggy bit? do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, OK, all right. And he's laughing away as he says it, so maybe he was listening on something he shouldn't have been listening on. Doesn't even tell me who he is, doesn't give me his name or anything, or what his relationship to you is. It's just like, he's chatting, he's just talking away, and he just wanted everyone to know that he's fine, he's OK, wanted to send his love to you all. I'll leave his love with you. All right, God bless.
Well, I was surprised, actually, because I didn't think my dad would be the type of person to come through to something like that. But he had a large family. There's 8 of us. Very much a family man. Liked to go to the horse races, liked to go out for a drink with the family. It was lovely for him to come through, speak to us, especially as it's just before the anniversary of his death.
He also wants to remind you about putting a silver coin into a champagne cork.
The daughter that watches Karate Kid, it was her 21st birthday in December, and she's got a silver coin in the champagne cork that we kept for her 21st birthday.
He's talking about his son. Just tell him, life isn't meant to be about just work.
I'm always nagging him, but his dad used to say, you know, stop doing long hours.
Why should you always have to sit in the saggy bit?
Well, that is our bed. And he always says, we've got a dip. And he said, that's your dip, so you lay in it.
My name is Dr. David Bull. I am a medical doctor. I'm also a television presenter. I've presented programmes such as Watchdog. Also, of course, Most Haunted live on Living TV. The reason that I went to see Colin was I have done a lot of work with paranormal programmes. I started off being incredibly sceptical, and I believe the proof of the pudding is in the eating, so I decided to see what Colin had to say for himself.
The connection I feel that is trying to take place, this is not so much a family link for you. You know, I mean, one of the common expressions we use is they pass before their time. But, you know, I do actually feel as though this was a young person who, had the scheme of things been other than what they were, would have had a lot longer on, you know, on this side of life. So I don't feel as though they've actually been passed over very long.
I was very careful in the reading not to try and give away anything, and initially I thought it might be one of two people. I thought it might possibly have been my cousin who died at a very early age, or my friend Mark.
I feel with this gentleman that's connecting with me, that leading up to his passing, he had commented or complained that he was getting pain or aching around the gland area underneath his chin, you know, the throat glands. And then I feel that there was something like a high fever or a bout of pneumonia or a really bad virus, and he recovered from that. I really feel until sort of the effects of this illness struck, he had been incredibly energetic, very lively, both in character and personality and the way he exerted himself in life.
You can tell that I was quite shocked because my breathing starts to increase. It was just too close. There was no doubt in my mind that it was Mark. And Mark had a condition called cystic fibrosis, which is a genetic condition. He died at the age of 31, and he died of a high temperature and pneumonia. He was one of the rudest and naughtiest people I've ever met in my life. Over the years, we became very good friends. He had obviously had cystic fibrosis, but he never believed he was ill. And what we used to do was that we would do a double act, and we would go to lots of charity functions to raise money to fund a cure for this hideous disease. And I would start off by saying, these are the facts about cystic fibrosis, this is why I'm here, this is why we need the money. And he, with his little devilish eyes and charm, would stand there knowing exactly what he was doing, and he would say, I have cystic fibrosis. Most people with cystic fibrosis will die before they reach the age of 30. I have cystic fibrosis, and I'm 30. If there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
And I really do get this feeling from him of wanting to admit to you that he went through those final days, months, weeks of his life almost in denial that there was actually anything wrong with him. And yet in his heart of hearts he knew there was something seriously wrong with him.
Now Mark sort of had a spate where he would be quite well and then really sick and then really well and really sick. And the problem is it's kind of a stepwise progression, and he never once believed that he was ill. And I remember really, really well, I was travelling up to film for Watchdog, and I was driving up the motorway, and I knew he wasn't very well, and I suddenly had to stop because I knew that I would never see him again. And I pulled into I don't know why I thought that, I just pulled into a service station and wrote a letter to him, which I faxed to his home. And I think, if I'm right, it's one of the last things he kind of read, and I didn't see him again. So I knew he was sicker than he ever told me.
I do really get this feeling with this guy is you either really, really liked him or you loathed and detested him. There was no in between with him. You either adored him or you couldn't stand him. And I think he knew that about himself.
Can you tell me his name? Can you describe him?
No, the only feeling that I get no name, the only feeling that I get from it, and I don't know whether it's physically or mentally, I would describe him as attractive. But I don't know whether I mean physically or mentally he was an attractive person. I just know that there was something about him that he was attractive. He would captivate people. He would walk into a room and hold court.
Yeah, oh, completely.
Yeah. And I think that is really what, depending on your disposition, you either would have adored him or would have despised him.
Absolutely. Mark was someone who would polarise people. Because he was so committed and passionate about certain things, he'd tell you if he thought you were talking rubbish. And that doesn't always work well with people. They can get quite upset. So I think that's absolutely right. That, you know, people did love him, and people really had times when they thought, enough, I can't listen to this anymore. So yeah, I think that's completely on the spot.
And I really do get this feeling that he did a lot for other people. And I can't think of any other way of saying this. I feel from him he had to dress it up so that it didn't actually look as though he was doing it to benefit other people. He wouldn't wanted to have been seen to be a do-gooder or a charitable person. So he had to dress it up. I think if anybody had actually said to him, "Oh, you're a very good man, and very charitable and everything," he would have been acutely embarrassed by that.
Completely.
So he had to dress the whole thing up.
Yeah.
And even as I'm sort of talking about this feeling that I have from him, I can feel from him as we're talking, he does not like me talking about him like this.
No. Well, Mark worked for a charity, worked for the Cystic Fibrosis Trust. He would go out of his way to help anyone with cystic fibrosis, no matter what, but he would do it with a veneer of, oh, let them get on with it on their own. Because he hated people to think that he was so caring, I think, in many ways. And it was part of his own coping mechanism. By playing down the disease, by saying, actually, it's not a big problem, he could deal with it himself by saying, well, I've got it and it's not a big problem. If he'd gone the other way and said, oh, it's terrible, they really need help, I've got to help them, then, of course, he's admitting that he needs help. And that's how he did it. And it was incredibly powerful. And people loved him for it.
What is this joke? What is it? Why is he joking about this? They're saying, you were the brains and I was the beauty. And you just said to me, you just made this clip and you said, you tell him, he will know what I mean by he was the brains and I was the beauty.
Well, obviously, no, I think that's a really harsh comment. We were a great double act. We combined brains and beauty, let's leave it there.